Hi, welcome back to Wilde Speculations. I'm Daniel.
I'm Scott.
This episode we are discussing episode 8, Gates of Zedash. And
It's an interesting episode.
yeah. So I kind of like starting with what we called.
Yeah. And we each had one.
We did. We each had one.
For me, last week's talks, if you watched that after you watched us, which hopefully you did, Dan and I were watching it, and I forget what they were talking about, but Marisha said, I was about to say, if we want to sell those, I know a guy. I looked at Dan, he looked at me, he's like, what? I was like, I called it Black Market Connections.
Yep.
And then she finally opened up the mail from the mail fraud this week, and confirmed that she was working for the Bombacs, who were into criminal activity, black market type stuff. So I called that Bacter and the mail fraud.
Yeah. Long time. And mine was
The Ruby of the Sea is the best lay ever.
yeah. The brothel. Now that was largely speculation. Yeah.
It's largely speculation, but when you think about it, the clue was there.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, and I was using the player to inform that.
right. Like, I didn't
much
notice
as-
it when I initially watched the show, but when you brought it up, I was like, before you even told me why you saw that, I was like, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Interesting thing, though, she's talking, and we may have been wrong about the noble background.
Yes.
Either we were wrong or it's a hybridization of noble and another one.
Yeah.
Because she talks about how the Lord wants her dead, and she kind of tricked the Lord out to embarrass him, which are things in the folk hero.
Yes.
Why,
The folk hero
the
background.
Lord wants you dead, and
Yep.
you stood up to a tyrant, or you tricked a tyrant. So she's either the folk hero. Keep wanting to say far traveler for some reason. Both two words, both start with an F.
Yeah.
Or a hybridization of the noble and folk hero.
Yeah.
So.
And thus far, she hasn't tried to use a background feature yet, the way that
Right.
Bo and Ford have.
Right.
Um,
In fact, the two of them and Nod are the only ones that have used things from their background, really.
So from the top of the episode, they're having the party. They're enjoying the spoils of their conquest.
Yes.
And Ford mentions people watching.
Yes. He mentions people watching.
And specifically looking for accents and the way people speak and stuff. And immediately my mind went to the actor feat because he has Mask of 1,000 Faces.
Well, that, and it's been mentioned in multiple episodes. Oh, you do multiple accents. Oh, you used to have this accent.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I think there's a lot of ground for that, him taking the actor feat.
I mean, last week we said that we figured he would take the Warcaster feat.
Which there's still a lot of evidence for that. It just depends on whether Travis wants to focus on the role play or the combat with this feat.
Yeah, and whether or not we're going to see him do more of that stuff.
Right, and I think we'll eventually see him take both feats.
I can see
It's
that.
just a matter of which one he takes next level.
Yeah. Now, we mentioned the letter. So Matt went through the trouble of actually printing that out.
Yes.
Which was a big clue to me that something was up there.
Yeah.
Now at the time I was like, oh, that's an interesting clue. And then when we were having dinner, I was like, what if Gustav is the gentleman?
Could be.
Or if Gustav is working for one of the other breweries trying to get at the bomb box.
Now, see, the thing is, if Gustav is the gentleman, why was the letter still at the post office?
True.
They had been there multiple days in the same town.
Unless the bomb box don't know who the gentleman is, and he did
That's
something
true.
to get himself insinuated into the town.
Yeah.
I mean, we agreed that he was motivated to be there.
Yes. And definitely we're going to find out about, I think when they circle back around to the bomb bags, because they're going to do that. They're going to circle around to this black market gig that they stole the mail for. And that's when...
We agree on that.
That's
Sure.
when we're going to see what exactly Gustav is up to. If he's the gentleman, or if he's something else, or, you know, that's when that's going to come to fruit as well.
Yeah. And I think we're going to end up going back there.
Oh, yeah.
I have a feeling there's going to be sort of a continuing outworld sort of spiral that they're going to end up doing.
I can see that. You know, I think that they'll go back there this arc, but not in the next few episodes. You know, it'll be a few episodes, but I think this arc is going to swing them back there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Could possibly swing them back there to start the next arc, if the next arc is gonna deal with Bo.
Yeah, or this one might be.
Yeah. Just because she worked for the bomb bags.
Yeah. They actually came up with a name.
The Mighty Nine.
Yep.
So.
I kind of wish he had went with like the Uber 9 to keep with the Deutsch.
Yeah, they got to do half and half so that he could, you know, play with the spelling. You know, it's kind of like the Hateful Eight, the Dirty Dozen, the Mighty Nine.
Well, that's going to be, I hope, I'm not going to say that's going to be, I hope it's going to be a joke from NPCs. We're the Mighty Nine. There are only 6 of you.
It's not spelled that way.
And now we have an Oneaters conundrum.
Oh.
So the other thing that we kind of called, not narrative or character based, but player,
Okay.
was Sam having his list of puns.
Yeah.
And he was right on top of it, and if you weren't paying attention, you might have missed it, except for the laughter that was going on for like 90 seconds or so.
Yeah.
Do you have a surname? Tough.
Because he's Ford Tough.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Sam will never cease to amaze you with the puns and the, you know, and I know he preps a lot of it, but I know a lot of it is off the top of his head as well.
Yeah.
Like most of his songs as Scanlan were in the moment made up.
And we saw that Laura does not exactly have that talent.
Hence the jingle and not a full song.
Yeah. That was funny. The next thing that I have on my list is what we already talked about Jester being potentially a folk hero.
Yes.
One of the things shortly after that, there was an exchange where, because they were talking about the Empire, and Jester's like, the Empire sucks. and I caught Liam giving her kind of a dirty look.
Yeah.
And I was like, what's that about? So my brain started going. Like, he doesn't, thus far, he didn't strike me as somebody who is pro-establishment.
Right. We discussed this.
Yeah, and you pointed out that maybe he was and has fallen.
Yeah. What if he was part of the regime and is fallen in whatever his backstory, whatever triggered his PTSD?
Which I like the idea of, like, that's an interesting take. Or maybe he believes or knows that the state has spies everywhere. And he doesn't want her talking like that so loud. Especially having just left the office of one of their officials.
You know, Liam and/or Caleb was kind of in an off mood with a lot of characters. He and Bo had some agitation when they were checking out the magic items. You know,
which hopefully should avoid any cursed items if they stick with making sure that Caleb takes a look at everything.
Right.
The other thing that I thought was a little weird, and I'm trying to figure out why, and I think the players are too, was as it's raining and they're coming up to Zedash, he fell in the mud and made sure to say he was taking 2 handfuls of it and putting it in his pockets. And when he did that, I was like, what's that about? And if you see, again, Travis is sort of my spirit animal on the show. Travis basically did the same thing. He's like, so I'm wondering what that was about. The other, well, I want to back up a little bit because I realized in my notes I actually didn't take any notes on the combat. I don't recall me saying there would be at least one combat, but I think I remember us talking about that.
Yeah.
That we didn't think this episode would be a combat-heavy episode.
Right. We said at most there would be
one. And I was figuring it would be on the trip.
Yeah.
And it was.
Yeah.
I kind of wish Caleb hadn't gone down because I kind of wanted to. I would have liked to have seen his reaction to vaporizing that guy.
Poor Trevor. Banditry was not for him.
Oh.
I love Taliesin playing the part of the pro-union. Not necessarily pro-union, but just kind of,
Yeah.
That workers' rights, just, hey, what do you, think about it? He's really got, Molly's really got a unique sense. And Taliesin touched on that in a Talks. He was talking about, his code of ethics, so to speak. And we saw that when they were at the party at the beginning, when people were buying him drinks, and he's like, everyone that buys me a drink, I'm gonna slip a silver in their pocket.
Yeah.
And then, he goes, and then with the bandits, he
gave each of them a gold.
Well, one, he restores their dignity. After the others make them strip, he says, put your clothes back on. So he's offering them back their dignity.
Yeah.
In a sense. And then he gives them each a gold and was going to let them go. The rest said, hey, no, they have to do something for that.
Yeah, I made the joke. It was very much a Pulp Fiction moment.
Yes.
You give that guy $3,000, I'm going to shoot him on general principle. We're just talking. Shut up, Vincent.
Right. But he had that, very, I don't know, I guess unique outlook when you don't expect from.
Well, I think it comes from him being, poor, being someone that those people would probably look down on. And wanting to make life easier for everybody.
Yeah.
I think that's primarily where it came from.
Right, and he mentioned that Molly believes the universe has a balance, and if you see a wrong, right it.
Yeah.
If you don't take what's not yours,
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like Molly, as odd as some people would think this is going to be the moral compass of the group.
I don't think so.
Who do you think?
Well, I think he will be the most moral of them, but I don't think he's going to be the compass because he doesn't try to get anyone else to do what he's doing. He doesn't try to stop anyone else's behavior. Like Keyleth did. Keyleth would raise objections when she had them.
He did. He has raised objections, such as in the horse incident. Caleb says, "I'll give you a silver to go get the horse." Gives him a copper, and he's like, "No, goddammit, we're giving him a silver. You're going to be a man of your word."
Well, I think that's also...
He did something like that to Bo, and I don't remember the exact specifics, but he chastised Bo at one point too. And I think part of why he hasn't done it every time is because they are getting to know each other.
Yeah.
They've only known each other about, I think it's like 9 days campaign time.
Yeah.
So not even 2 weeks, and
Yeah.
I think that's part of it. And the reason why I think he is going to be, instead of, say, Ford is complacent to let them do that.
Yeah.
He doesn't chastise them. He doesn't try to correct the thing. The only thing he's done, he has kind of kept Jester on the leash a bit.
Yeah.
Now,
for
what did
her
we
more
say?
extreme stuff. Yeah.
For her more extreme stuff. But for the most part, he's like, yeah, whatever.
That's true.
I may not do that, but whatever.
I like that he acknowledged Not and the debt that he owed her.
Yeah. Like, he's a moral guy. He's probably the most moral guy, but he keeps it to himself. The only time he steps out, even the only time he reigns in Jester, is when he feels it's going to affect them negatively in the long run.
Yeah.
Whereas Molly is like, oh, that's not going to bite us in the ass, but no, that's wrong. Let's do it the right way.
Yeah, that's true.
So that's why I say that.
Yeah, I could see that.
And there may be a play. It may go back and forth between the two.
Yeah.
But there's not another. But they're the only two that are, I would call, moral in the group.
Oh yeah.
Now I can't speak for Ashley. I haven't seen enough of her.
Yeah. Yasha still remains the wild card.
But
also, how much? I'll wait until we're talking about Zedash proper.
Okay.
But yeah. I think it was like, it's funny that he gave them all the gold. Not getting the horses was awesome.
Yes.
Sam's like, I'm gonna trundle off into the wilderness and look.
It's a fight. I don't want anything to do with that. I'm just gonna. Oh, look. Well, those 5 kind of look worse. Let's get rid of them. All right, 4.
Yep.
So she and Caleb are on the cart, and the other 4 each have a horse, and now they have 6 horses.
Yes. And a new cart.
Yes.
Which I thought was an interesting narrative choice on Matt's part. And part of me wonders if it was for a specific reason.
Okay.
And that reason, and this has just come to me,
Okay.
may have something to do with what I did to you guys on Sunday. If they have an object someone is familiar with, they can cast locate object to find them. Or scry on that object to see where it is. Because really there was no reason for them to give them a new cart. They could have cleaned out the old one.
Unless Gustav is the gentleman and there's something with that cart.
And he wants it
And
back.
he had connections.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
I mean, if we're going to go wild, you know,
That's true.
There's lots of ways it could go.
I don't think it said where that, like, there was no return address on that letter either, I don't think.
I don't think so, no.
So there's no way to know from which direction the gentleman wrote.
That's true.
Although I thought it was funny when they were like, "Hello, gentlemen."
Yeah. Yes.
That was never going to work.
Well, you know, when Jester leads a plan. Although, I'm going to say this. In some ways, that reminds me of some of the characters I've played. Such as Siku in the Exalted game. Where, you know, he's fairly perceptive. He's kind of a lovable goofball. But he'll jump to conclusions.
Yeah.
And those conclusions usually turn out right. Maybe he doesn't get there for the right reason or for any reason.
Yeah.
But it's correct. And I think maybe Jester's got a little bit of that in her.
Yeah.
And I think that's how she winds up in the right place at the right time.
Yeah. And I think we saw a little bit of her. Okay, so let me ask you this.
Okay.
How true do you think the story about the horse with clothes is?
50%. I'm sure she's put clothes on a horse before.
Mm-hmm.
What I probably was never hers. It was probably some kind of prank, which is why she doesn't have the horse anymore.
And doesn't know what happened to it. Yeah, I could see that too.
But, and
Not
I
the
think that's,
direction I was going, but
I think that's part and parcel of hanging out with the Traveler. You know, did you ever see the show Lost Girl? I think it was a sci-fi show.
No.
Okay. I think it's 4 or 5 seasons long before it got canceled, but it's about the Fae in the world. It's kind of like a real world setting, but you know, werewolves and succubi and all this exist, and they're kind of hidden, living in society. And you've got the light Fae and the dark Fae, and it centers around this character who didn't know she was Fae. She was raised by humans, who's given up for adoption, who's a succubus, and she, you know, and as a succubus, you know, she's a sexual creature and all that. But she's kind of going, she ends up finding out who her mom is. She knows her mom. Her mom was also a succubus. But...
Well, I'm seeing how you're making the connection with Jester so far.
Yes. So she's in the overarching thing. I think it's season 4 where she actually meets her dad. But her dad is a demon lord who goes by the name of the Traveler. And he seems like this, like when you first meet him, you first find out that he's supposed to be this cool guy. He's supposed to be this charming, kind of how she's describing her dad. But he ends up trying to use her to free himself from his prison. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be a thing, but there's a lot of parallels between Jester and, ironically, the succubus's name is Bo. I may be reading into that, but it is called Wild Speculations. But there is just a lot of little things that are like, well, you could draw the parallel in this show. You could draw the parallel in this show.
Yeah.
So, I'm not going to say that I'm speculating that this is a thing, but I'm going to say it's on the back burner in my mind. I'm watching for something a little more so I can say, yes, this is going to happen.
See, and we don't actually know if her mother's a tiefling.
That's true. And if her father's a demon lord and her mother's
human,
then she's a tiefling.
Yeah. Which would make hiding her easier.
Yeah.
It's not my kid, obviously. Look at it.
Yeah. Yeah, and in the show, the traveler kind of wooed away the mom from her family, and
we also don't know. Like none of the other players has attempted a religion check.
It's true.
For the traveler.
Right. And in one of our first episodes, we looked through. There's no traveler in this book.
No. I mean, we speculated that maybe it was Avandra.
Yeah, we pulled out the player's handbook, looked up all the travel trickery related deities, and I think there's only like 2, and one of them's female.
Yeah.
And the other one is like, well, it could be this one, but didn't really feel like it fit.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, damn. Now I wanted to run into a cleric.
Yeah.
Of somebody else and be like, wait, who?
Yeah. Well, I was kind of hoping Shikasta.
Yeah.
Was a cleric would be like, do I know about the traveler? But then again, like I said, I'm pretty sure that was his first game.
Yeah.
Or one of his first games.
Yeah, and we're not even sure who his deity is.
It's true.
Just that he was Tempest
cleric.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a Tempest cleric who had the magic initiate feat.
Sorry, I'm going to look at a book right now, everybody. Because now I'm wondering. So it's it's possible that Matt is going to do a whole new pantheon for the old continent. It's unlikely, but possible.
If anything, I would say he's going to add a few new deities that kind of just didn't carry over to the new world. Although, honestly, usually it works the other way.
Yeah.
Usually the pantheon goes with the settlers, and then a few new ones are created.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why,
The other thing with that, if there is a connection with Lost Girl, what if the traveler is the Chained Oblivion? That would fit with the story of Lost Girl.
Okay. And we also talked about Ford's patron perhaps being connected in some way.
Yeah. Either being the Chained or being one of the other forgotten that,
Yeah, well, we mentioned that it probably was the Kraken, but maybe the Kraken has a stake in the Chained Oblivion becoming unchained.
Yeah.
And having that turn happen.
What you got there?
So there's the Changebringer, she who makes the path, trickery and nature are the domains. But for Tempest,
Right, but the Changebringer is female.
the Wilde Mother, and the Storm Lord.
Yeah.
And I can maybe see the Storm Lord being his deity.
Yeah.
Because he had an affinity for lightning and thunder.
Yeah.
So we'll call that, and maybe it'll come up, maybe it won't. I guess it depends on if he ever guest stars again. Since it took him a few years to get him on, I'm betting no.
Right.
Unless it's a final battle showdown thing, like with Vecna and
Right.
people come in.
He may show up sometime around level 10, 12.
Yeah. So, but yes, yeah, that's interesting.
You know, again, the parallels, I'm not calling anything yet. It's just something that was stewing in my mind, especially after this last episode. And I was like, there's a lot of connections there.
So I saw a thing on Twitter that kind of blew my mind, and I don't know if it was on purpose or not. I don't think it was.
Okay.
But it was someone clipped Travis's one shot. Near the beginning of the adventure, he describes a green half-orc and a blue tiefling with a bassinet and a baby.
When was this?
It was Grog's one shot. He was playing Grog, playing D&D, so it was sort of meta.
Yeah.
But it's how he decided to ease the pressure of DMing for the first time, just to do it in character.
Onions and flagons.
Yep. But then this person who clipped this then spliced it together with the pregnancy announcement. Right?
Oh, wow.
Right?
Wow. Okay. I did not see that. I did not remember that from Grog's one shot.
No.
Okay. Whoever you are on Twitter, kudos to you. I applaud you. Wow.
Yeah.
The pregnancy announcement. And
And it was funny because he says this, the green half-orc and the blue tiefling, and describes the baby, and Laura goes like this, and they say, and it's Laura with an arrow, and then she's like, oh, is it the baby? And they're like, Vex with an arrow, because they were splitting her reaction of Laura going, what are you doing?
yeah, because at that time they knew what their characters were going to be.
Yeah. So, yeah. Kind of blew my mind when I saw that.
Wow. I am going to look that up after the show.
So, they get on the road, they get to Zedash.
They get to Zedash.
Caleb has mud in his pockets.
Mm-hmm.
For some unknown reason. They meet the guy under the bridge.
Yes.
Yes. An interesting take, and I have a feeling he's going to be important. They thought that Pumat's soul was their Gilmore. I think that guy was their Gilmore.
Okay. Ulysses, huh?
Yeah. Because so far, I mean, from a narrative standpoint, you get into a city, it's good to have an NPC be able to give exposition and to have a point of view on everything so that you can sort of color and inform/control the player's reaction. And it also gives them an NPC who needs help.
Okay. You know who that Ulysses reminded me of?
Who?
Go back to the 80s, a little movie called Labyrinth. It's this little knight who rides around on a dog. Just the way he described him with the mustache and I was just channeling that dude.
Uh-huh.
Now, and that guy is important to the story.
Yeah?
But I was just like, oh my god. I was just having flashbacks of I was picturing this dude as that knight.
Huh.
And I can't remember his name. The character in Labyrinth.
Well, Ulysses was the name of the dog.
That's right.
So you may not be
So,
that far off.
yeah, because he had the dog, not Ulysses, but
The Muppet.
the Muppet had no sense of smell because he lived in the bog of eternal stench. Yeah. And yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. But they find Pumat's soul and the invincible vagrant.
Yeah.
And first thing that happens is Caleb is prestidigitationized. Put through the cleaners.
It's a great spell, folks. One of my favorite cantrips.
And so part of me I think Caleb grabbed the mud because he knew that was probably going to happen at some point. Maybe. I don't know.
To re-dirty himself?
Yeah.
Well, that would fit if he's like an exiled part of the regime.
Wanting to disguise himself.
He's trying to be dirty and lowly so that people don't look too closely at him because he's just the bottom barrel filth.
Yeah.
As to not recognize him.
Yeah, and you don't want to pick up filth off the street in the city. It's
Right.
more than likely dung or laced with it.
Or diseased in some way.
Yeah. So we got a furbolg.
Yes.
And not only one, but four.
No, one.
Well, yes. So.
And we both had the same thought as
Yes.
to how, why.
Simulacrum.
Yep.
It's a 7th level spell. Scanlan used Wish to create one last campaign.
Did he use Wish for that?
Yes.
Okay. I
Yeah,
wasn't
he
sure if he had
used,
used Wish for that or if it was one of his, cross spells.
No, he used Wish to cast a 7th level spell.
Yeah. Because you either have to be a wizard or make that one of your choices at one of the higher levels of Bard where you can
Magical secrets.
where you can pick up other spells from other classes.
Yeah. But no, he did specifically say he cast Wish to cast Simulacrum.
You're right.
And I wanted to check the wording of the spell.
Right, yeah, I pulled open your book when we got back from dinner, and so I could, because I was like, And I wasn't sure. I was pretty sure the wizard was the only one who had it on their list, but I wanted to double check.
Oh yeah, I didn't think to do that.
And it is. It's only on the list of the wizard, which means anyone else would have to have some way to cross-learn a 7th level spell.
Okay.
Which I believe is only the bard.
Yeah.
Which, when do you get 7th level spells again? That's level 15?
Yeah, I think so.
So you'd have to be an 18th level bard. Because they switch it out at 10th, 14th, and 18th.
Okay.
And given his profession, I don't think he's a bard.
No. He's, I would say, most definitely a School of Enchantment wizard.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know.
My bet is School of Enchantment wizard. He is of higher level than Gilmore was.
At the beginning.
Yeah. Because he's already cast a 7th level spell.
Yes.
Now, the wording of the spell says when you cast it again, your previous creation collapses into snow.
Yes. However,
if one of the copies casts it,
and then the other copy casts it.
Yep, so we have sort of a multiplicity thing going on. Although we haven't seen the comedic interplay.
I like Pizza Steve. I have a wallet.
Yep.
And as I said earlier, the only 2 lines I actually remember from that movie.
So I'm gonna like the chain in the.
This is your straw that you kind of realized at dinner tonight.
Yes, this is the straw I'm grabbing onto. For this episode.
He's not going to let this theory die.
I was very close last week to letting it go, but this week gave me new hope that we are going to see the effects of Vox Machina not going through with creating that portal for that Archfey. And I think we're going to be back in the Feywild at some point. And last week I said that I had basically given up on it, at least for this arc, because they're not high enough level to get back and forth.
And then we meet a guy who not only is high enough level, but has racially Fey origins.
Yep. So that's the straw I'm grabbing onto. Is
if he can cast
Simulacrum, he can cast Plane Shift.
Yep. They're the same level.
And it is on the wizard spell list if memory serves.
It is.
So we can have them going to the Feywild super quick. I don't know if that's going to happen, but I kind of hope it does. I think they are also interested in seeing what became of the werewolves. Yeah. Because that's another potential consequence.
Right.
That Matt can play with.
Right. And that's one that he didn't fully reveal in the campaign wrap-up.
Yes.
Like, I'm pretty sure all of their inquiries about the theater wrapped up because he explained exactly what would happen if they had gone in the wrap-up.
Yeah. Well, he explained the consequences if they had gone. And they didn't try to destroy them or do anything with them. So I don't think that was any sort of spoiler.
Right. No. You know, a couple of them had kept wanting to go, and that may have been something that carried over, but with Matt explaining the consequences, I don't think it will be.
Yeah.
Though, you know, I don't know. Anything could happen, you know.
So, predictions for this week's episode. Next episode.
Oh, predictions for this week's episode. I'm just stuck. I think Matt is, you know, he jumped on Bo with the backstory and the, like, you know, alone time. He jumped on Ford with the alone time. I think he's doing something different with Caleb. I think he's slowly twisting that backstory out.
Yeah.
And I think we're seeing it in Caleb's reaction to the other players and the other players leaning more to, hey, what's going on with you? Hey, what happened? Hey, why did you, you know, go catatonic? Not the joke about using your familiar, but you actually went catatonic.
Yeah.
You know, hey, you know, why are you putting your issues about burning into this object? You know, hey, which I think it upset Caleb. I think the comment upset Liam a little bit. Just like in the moment. Not like lasting, I'm pissed at you, Marisha.
Yeah.
But in the moment, I think it upset Liam, actually, from the look on his face. But I think we're going to see more of that. And on Talks, Marisha said, yeah, Bo is really curious about Caleb right now. And she really wants to ask him questions, but she hasn't found the right time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think she's going to be pressing him. I think Matt is using that to slowly pull things out. So I think we're going to see a lot more with Caleb, especially as we get to the bigger cities where people are more known, if he is part of the regime.
Yeah, but he wanted to go to the city to hide, as it were, to disappear into the crowd.
It's true. But, you know, that's the thing about a big city. So here's the thing. If you're trying to hide as royalty, small town, people know everybody. People look at everybody, even the film. Big city, there may be more people who can identify you, but there's going to be fewer people who look at you.
That's true. Yeah.
You know, that's kind of the dichotomy. Small town, fewer people will know you, but everybody's going to look at you.
Yeah.
You know.
Let's see, I don't think we'll get into Caleb's.
I don't think we're going to a reveal arc thing, but I think we're going to pull things out, maybe get his exact background, maybe find out a few details about that backstory. It's not going to be his backstory-centric arc like the Briar Woods for Percy.
Okay.
But I think he's pulling on Caleb a little bit, and I think he's doing it slow and subtle. We're in Zedash now. I'm trying to remember the academy
is in Rexington.
So we're not.
I think there's a satellite campus in Zedash.
Right.
Which we may see Ford and Caleb try to work their way in from there.
Right.
And Jester's letter for Ford might have a little more weight here than far off Zedash. Or Rexington.
Yeah. The other thing, of course, it's Zedash. It's where the Cobalt Reserve is. But so, you know, there's going to be something with her in the city. Whether we get to it next, you know, if we just barely touch on it or really get into it.
Well, I think what you said earlier this episode about going back and doing with the black market and finding out what was going on with the bomb box. I think this first arc is going to be Bo. And this is Bo's arc.
I can see that.
With maybe a dovetail with Molly.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. I do think that we'll see her new mentor again. If not this episode, the following one.
Yeah.
And that may actually be what sends him back to Tristan Wilde.
Yeah.
You know, she's training her to learn things, to spot things, to be that intellectual. Hey, you missed something back in that town. Go back. Your lesson's not over.
That's true.
I think we'll find out how full of shit Jester is about her mom sending money.
Well, I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about the timing. Presumably, it's at least 4 days south to where she's from, if not longer. I mean, she's been out of the house, I think she said a month? Something like that?
It's been a little over a month since she and Ford got hooked up.
So, that time to get there, and then if her mother sends money, or a letter of credit, that's going to take another. So I mean, it could be weeks.
But this is also a woman of connections.
I mean,
And
from the sound of it, mommy's not going to send her money.
yeah,
At least not pay somebody who can teleport or tree stride or what have you to bring her money.
I mean, she could have a John up there. She's just got to get a message to him magically. Hey, this here, it goes on your credit.
Okay, yeah.
That's about the only way it's going to happen.
Yeah. With any speed.
With any speed.
But yeah, I don't think she's getting that money ever, let alone anytime soon.
You know, I really feel like, you know, in talks, Taliesin said, you know, one of the questions was, you know, how much of that did you make up on the, you know, he's like, oh, I've got a whole list of backstories to feed them. I think Jester has the same thing.
Yeah.
I think she has multiple backstories to feed them. I think the part about, you know, being from a brothel is true. I think the part about the Lord is true. But all these things like the horse, you know,
Dressing the horse and
all this different stuff and the pocket unicorns and I really think that it's half truths or fantasies, you know.
Yeah. I think we will go to the Cobalt Reserve. I think we will go to the school. I think
we will go to a bookstore because it's a city and Caleb's there.
Yes. They will look for a job because Caleb's out of money. Ford is just about out of money, if not out of money. Not has cash.
Yeah.
But I mean, they got like 150 gold apiece from the Knoll escapades,
Right.
and Ford dropped 100 of it in healing potions.
Yes. No, Ford spent 50, not spent 100.
Ford got 2.
Did Ford got 2 as well?
I'm pretty sure.
I thought he got 1 and then not asked for 2 and asked for the discount, but failed the persuasion.
Well, and then near the end, Ford asked for another one.
Okay, so that's 200 between the two of them. However, Not and Caleb split 113 gold that she lifted off of Shikasta.
Yes.
She got 60. Caleb got 43.
Yeah, and he had to spend basically all of his money to get his inks.
Yes.
To copy the spells.
Yeah.
So I think we'll have that happen. I think we are going to get the hook dropped to go back south. Whether it be from the Cobalt Reserve or they uncover something else with the bomb box.
Well, I mean, they said when they read the letter, because when they got the letter as they were leaving town, the letter said within the week, and they've already been gone 4 days.
Yeah.
A week is 7 days last I checked. I'm pretty sure it's the same on Exandria.
Yeah.
So they've got 3 days.
Well, and it said the poisoned wine would be there within the week.
Yeah.
So I think whatever that poisoned wine is for is going to happen. Yeah. they will get word about it. And I think Matt has a lot of stuff plotted out
I know he does.
by date.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
he
showed.
was certain that they arrived at Zedash on the 12th of Thessalon.
Yeah. Well, and he's proven that he does that.
Yeah.
He did that a lot in the last campaign.
Well, at least definitely in the last arc.
In the last arc, in the Chroma Conclave arc.
Yeah.
You know, there was things that, hey, if you had gone this way, this wouldn't have happened if you had gone that way. So he is definitely, at least in the overarching, hey, depending on how they go, these things are going to happen or these things are going to happen, you know.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I think is one of the reasons he is a good DM. You know, I try to do that, you know, because it's a world. You know, it's you're playing D&D. You're not playing Skyrim where every quest is on hold, even with the ones with time limits, until you actually pursue them.
Yeah, and I think he reiterated that in the Null Mines.
Yeah.
And on Talks, no, was it Talks? He mentioned, you know, sometimes you're on a timer.
Yeah.
If you're dilly-dallying.
Well, he said that in the
happen.
Talks, but he also said that in the final arc in game.
Yeah.
You know?
So, I think the urgency is going to ramp up with whatever hook he drops them to go back south. I think we will probably. I don't think they'll leave Zedash.
No, I think we're gonna get. I think we'll probably see 2 full episodes in Zedash.
Yeah, I think that's probably true.
And then in the 3rd one, they'll leave.
So last speculation that I want to speculate on.
Okay, speculate away.
How long to the first downtime?
Oh, jeez.
So we're fairly certain that they will reach level 4 either next episode, end of next episode, or the one after that.
I'm gonna say not end of next episode.
You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
I don't think they're that close. Trust me, I'm in your Sunday night game. 3 to 4 takes a lot longer than you think it does.
That's true. And 4 to 5 is even longer than that.
That jump from 900 to 2700.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they're doing milestones, but it takes longer than I think. I think it's going to be 2 to 3 episodes, not 1 to 2.
Okay.
Downtime will happen at the point when they level up.
You think so?
I think they're going to level up at the
No,
end of
yeah,
whatever this hook is, and
Yeah.
that's when they're going to have downtime.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
That's my speculation.
Yeah.
I'm assuming you think differently.
No. Well, the timing I think we disagree on, but I think the basic structure is there.
Okay.
The first downtime will be right after this arc completes. So, yeah, and I think it'll probably happen in Zedash.
Okay.
And we are coming up on Talks Machnia start time, so join us next week where we will talk about this week's episode and see what we were right and wrong about.
Bye, guys.
See ya.